You know, deep inside the code that's building our future, there's a kind of ghost. A ghost made from billions of moments of human creativity. But here's the thing. Were those moments given freely? Or were they just taken? Today we're pulling back the curtain on a massive battle, one that's going to decide the future of art, technology, and what it even means to own something.
Look, the question isn't if AI is coming. It's already here. The real question, the one we all need to ask, is this. Is this amazing future we're all so excited about being built on a foundation of theft?
To really get what this fight is about, we have to look under the hood of these incredible AI models. How exactly do they learn? Well, it all kicks off with a process that's as huge and controversial as the technology itself.
I want you to imagine a library that holds every book, every song, every painting, every single article ever put on the internet. Now, generative AI doesn't just go to this library to borrow a book. It consumes the entire thing. They call it the Great Scraping.
So here's how it works in simple terms. First, the AI scrapes, which is just a fancy word for downloading, billions and billions of data points. We're talking about your photos, your favorite author's books, that indie song you can't get out of your head. Second, it doesn't see art or read text like a person does. No, it learns the mathematical patterns behind them. And finally, using all those patterns, it generates what it calls new content when you ask it to. But is it really new?
That very question, is any of this actually new, is now at the absolute heart of a legal war that's exploding in courtrooms all over the world. The people who made the original stuff, they're fighting back. And believe me, the scale of this rebellion is just staggering.
And we're not talking about just one or two angry artists here. This is a full-blown global legal war. Over 100 lawsuits have been filed against the biggest names in AI.
And this is no fringe movement. I mean, look at this list. It's like a who's who of the entire creative world. You've got giants like the New York Times and Getty Images standing shoulder to shoulder with famous authors, influential cartoonists, musicians, you name it. They're all arguing that their life's work was taken without permission to build a machine that might just end up replacing them.
Because that's the thing. Behind all the billion-dollar lawsuits and these really complex legal arguments, there is a very, very real and often devastating human cost.
Get this. A survey of more than 10,000 creators dropped a bombshell statistic. 99%, let that sink in, 99% say their work was used to train AI models without them ever giving consent. To them, this isn't some legal gray area. It's a clear violation.
And the consequences? They're not some far-off problem. They're already here. That same report found that 1 out of every 3 creative jobs is already considered at risk. For so many people, this isn't about a future threat. It's a crisis happening right now.
And looking just a few years down the road, UNESCO projects that the financial hit for creators is going to be severe. By 2028, musicians could lose almost a quarter of their income, audiovisual artists more than a fifth. This whole thing isn't just about art anymore. It's about whether people can even make a living.
This quote from cartoonist Sarah Anderson, it just perfectly captures the personal horror of all this. She's a plaintiff in one of the big lawsuits, and she said this after she saw an AI perfectly mimic her unique personal art style on command. I mean, it's one thing to know your work was used. It's something else entirely to watch a machine wear your identity like a costume.
So you have to be wondering, how can these huge AI companies possibly defend this? Well, it all boils down to a legal concept that, believe it or not, is now at the dead center of a technological revolution: fair use.
Okay, so here are the two sides of the coin. The AI companies, they argue that what they're doing is highly transformative. They say, hey, we're not making copies. We're just learning statistical patterns to create something brand new, and that pushes innovation forward for everyone. But the creators, they call it what it is: theft. They argue that AI is a direct substitute for their work, that it's built on their unpaid labor, and that it fundamentally devalues what it means to be a human artist.
Now, in court, they use something called a 4-factor test to decide what's fair use. And this is where it gets really tricky. The AI companies might have a decent argument on some of these points, but it's that fourth one, market effect, that's a huge problem for them. See, if the AI's output directly competes with and hurts the market for the original creator's work, the whole fair use argument starts to fall apart. This one factor, this could be the legal hinge that the entire future of generative AI swings on.
So, in response to all this, creators aren't just filing lawsuits, they're actually proposing a solution. It's called the CLARE framework. It's a call for first consent, then licensing instead of just scraping, ethical standards, accountability through transparency, and finally, remuneration and rights. It's not a ban on AI. It's a demand for a fair system.
For years, the big mantra in Silicon Valley was, ask for forgiveness, not permission. Well, that era just came to a very, very expensive end. $1.5 billion. That's not a typo. That is the size of the settlement in just one of these lawsuits. This one brought by authors against the AI company Anthropic. It's one of the biggest copyright settlements in U.S. history.
And this is exactly why it matters so much. This one case put an official price tag on the great scraping. It sent an absolute shockwave through the entire tech industry, basically signaling that just ignoring creator rights is no longer a good business model. A reckoning has finally arrived.
And all of this, it brings us right to the heart of the matter. We are standing at a major crossroads, a point where the lines between human creation and machine generation are just dissolving. The decisions we all make right now are going to define our creative future.
So, the ultimate question is actually a simple one, but the answer is going to shape everything that comes next. Should the architects of these world-changing technologies be required to pay the people whose work, whose very creativity, is what makes it all possible in the first place?
This is not just some legal debate for lawyers or a tech controversy for nerds. This is a fundamental question about the value we as a society place on human expression. So what do you think? I really want to know. Join the debate in the comments below. The future of creativity is literally being written as we speak, and your voice matters. And if you want to understand more of these shocking truths about our AI future, make sure you subscribe to FutureShock.